This video is for Vada. I was born in Wales, and I lived there for 3 years before moving to England. I had acquired obviously very little vocabulary in Wales, but still the musicality sort of remained with me even when I went to England. And in England, I lived in Surrey, in Weybridge, Surrey, and the kids there would easily identify me as, in spite of my looks, which were not English in any way, as someone who lived in Wales. Because apparently at that time I had a Welsh accent, and that remained with me until age of 11 or 12. And I deliberately tried to change that accent so it's not recognizable. I didn't enjoy the fact that someone could pinpoint where I come from. And I didn't get a chance to do that because I moved to Egypt when I was 13. And over there, I didn't think at all about how I spoke. I was focused on my studies. And then when I went back to England for my undergraduate studies at the age of 18, I did my undergraduate in Cambridge, chemical engineering, and people didn't comment about my accent, but I noticed that it was very different from theirs. It was closer to American. I only started realizing that it had become kind of Americanized because of the atmosphere in Egypt. The general American accent, the very generic American accent, was the one most used in Egypt, especially when I was growing up. Not anymore. Now it's just uh, something unrecognizable. Um, Back in Cambridge, I started to pay attention again to how I was speaking and the kind of accent that was coming out. And I decided I wanted to make it what what's usually called mid-Atlantic. So it's neither American nor British, something in the middle, a happy medium. And because I was very interested in acting and I used to act all the time, um, I decided, I need something that is a base for anything. Whatever I need, I can just add to it. But I need to just have something neutral to which I can add things, and that helped me a lot especially when acting roles that required a completely neutral accent, or when acting extreme roles like things that needed Cockney, for example. John Osborne plays and things like that needed a strong Cockney accent, which I had. Some Shavian plays had that, and so I found it convenient, so I kept it. I stuck to my guns, and then I went back to Egypt, and people started commenting that they sort of had a trust issue with not being able to pin you down. So I started realizing that it was a bit troublesome not having a specific accent. So I decided to have an accent that can shift according to my audience, and until today, I've kept that. I think it's nice and flexible and takes me places.
So how would you describe your accent now? What would you, if you had to sort of
Uh,
classify it?
it's a morphing Southern English accent.
Okay.
That is, yeah, morphing and highly adaptable.
Okay. Can you tell me uh, something? I know you're very into literature, so why don't you tell me about a work of literature you studied when you were younger that had a great effect on you?
Dave Copperfield.
Okay.
I don't like Dickens because when you start, you can't stop. And you get into depression and things like that. And he's very heavy.
Mm.
So definitely David Copperfield. Also Stendhal's The Red and the Black. Uh, the idea of that was in my first encounter with the Byronic hero, and it was very yeah, that had a very strong impact. And whenever I remember The Red and the Black, whenever I see a French adaptation or something, I just freeze. I drop everything and just have to watch it.
How old were you when you were reading when you started?
David Copperfield.
Mm-hmm.
I I was in year six. Year six in England is like 12,
Mm-hmm.
11 or so, yeah, thereabouts. And therefore the imagination was still wild,
Mm-hmm.
and it had a bigger effect than I think it wouldn't have had that much of an effect if I'd read it later.
All right. Great. Thank you so much.
No problem.